What's going on? My name is Silky. So today I'll be doing a guide on 2 boss cells with a survival build. As usual, like my other 2 build videos, I have disabled items that are not accessible to 2 boss cell players, such as the Sonic Carbine and the Thunder Shield, as well as 3 mutations which are not available in 2 boss cells, as well as disabling plus and S rank weapons. So in the beginning, I try to pick some green items to start me off, with the Seismic Strike and the Ice Shield. I did not take the Vampirism in the beginning because I don't like it as an item. And I'm so afraid of it to the point where I don't even take it. In here, I take some really nasty hits, but I tried my best to parry everything and just try to move on. It's okay if you're hit a lot of times in the first level. It's just the beginning of the level. There will probably be a lot of food nearby. Just play your best and hopefully find some food to heal back up. Otherwise, even if you die, it's not a big deal. Just start from the beginning again. Here I find some food which is good, and at this point I'm just trying to find better items to replace my lower tier items, and here is a giantkiller with the affix, victims slow down all nearby enemies when they die. So I thought this might be a very good synergy with a mutation I'll be picking later on. And although the giantkiller is probably one of my least favorite items, I think because of the victim slowdown affix, I can make very good use of it, even in a biome. And decide to go to the Promenade of the Condemned, because I think this build will suffer in the toxic sewers because it doesn't do well against flying enemies. And obviously in the Dilapidated Arboretum, you really need to get a ranged build to make it through the biome effectively. Here I take the Frostbite mutation which states that nearby slowed down enemies suffer additional DPS. So you'll see in a second where when I kill an enemy with the giantkiller, nearby enemies will get slowed down, which means they will take additional damage before I even reach them. So just like that kamikaze bat, I killed one of the bats and every other bat just exploded. Because of the frostbite mutation, I did not even have to worry about them exploding on me. And here the mushroom boy is trying to help, but I don't think it's very reliable sometimes. Especially if you have a shield, the mushroom boy can get in the way of some of your attacks, making it less reliable to try to parry. Because the mushroom boy, it kind of messes up your rhythm. Here I'm just trying to find all the scrolls that I can, killing all the enemies, get all the gold and the cells. There is a 50% heal item on the floor, which I'm very grateful for. So really, you don't have to use health potions in the beginning of the game. I had runs where I was at literally 1 point of HP when I reached the 2nd level, and I have made complete comebacks from those. All it takes is the right mutations and the right skills and strategies, essentially. You can see how the giantkiller is not very effective here, doing almost no damage to the little dummies. We get one more scroll here, and we approach the shop, which I knew I wanted to replace the giantkiller with something. So I think I will take the broadsword here because it is generally a good survival item. Plus we have the ice shield, so it will make it that we can just parry the first attack and then get the enemy with the broadsword. The only problem is that the broadsword has a very low attack speed, which we can kind of mitigate because Mushroom Boy kind of stuns the enemies for us and we have the shield to compensate. However, it's at this point where I realized that the broadsword does not have the victims slow down nearby enemies affix, so we can't exactly make use of the frostbite mutation here. So here in the 60 kills door, I find ice shards, which I will replace the broadsword with since it slows down enemies and is one of the best support weapons in survival. But this time I'm taking it as my main weapon since I have a feeling I can just find a better main weapon later on, and the broadsword is just a bit too slow in my opinion. I upgrade the ice shards to an S tier because I will probably be sticking to it for a while. We take the first curse chest in Prison Depths, get another scroll stat, and a colorless fire grenade, which is usually a brutality only scaling item. I take it because the level on it is pretty good, and in this long corridor I just try to get Mushroom Boy to do all the work, and plus throw some ice shards in the way just so it gets easier for me. You can see how the ice shard by itself isn't very good at dealing with enemies. I see a invisible knife thrower down there, and sometimes it's good to just stop while you're cursed and observe your surroundings to make sure you didn't miss any invisible enemies, because if you did, they can just come up and hit you. I lift the curse and we continue on with the level. The critical condition on the ice shard is that the target has to be covered in oil, but thankfully the Mushroom Boy spreads inflammable oil on the enemy whenever he hits something. So sometimes the Mushroom Boy can be effective, but more often than not, I think the Mushroom Boy does not really help me in a lot of runs. In this case though, he is very helpful. Whenever I'm in a pinch, I just throw the fire grenade as it can boost my DPS for the time being. You can see how the ice shards really doesn't do well on its own, and even paired up with a shield, I can't exactly make use of both of them, so I knew I had to find something to replace my ice shield with. I find a death orb, but I decided to not take it since the tier on it isn't very good. We pick up the remaining food in the level and move on to the morass of the Banished. For my last mutation, I take Armadillo Pack because since I will probably be having a main weapon alongside my Ice Shard, I'll probably put a shield inside my backpack, because while ice shards and another weapon provides a good offense, I think we still need some defense as a survival build. A lot of the weapons just don't do enough damage as the other colors. And here, even though I slowed down the tick monster, I decided to move away since it was slowed down, so its attacks are a bit unpredictable to parry. Again, when there's a big crowd of enemies, I just throw the fire grenade down and hopefully it kills everything. The reason that I know that the ice shard isn't good as a primary weapon is that from multiple runs, from multiple experiences, I've just seen that it pairs up much better when you have another item. And here I decide to pick up the Flawless, which inflicts critical hits as long as I haven't taken damage for 15 seconds. This may seem as like a non-beginner type of weapon, but I decided to take it just because it was just so good. And here I decide to dual bind the Flawless with the Ice Shard. How dual binding works is that I go into the options menu and I switch the button for the secondary weapon to be the same as the primary weapon. So in this case, when I use my Ice Shard, I also swing the Flawless. How the combo works is that since the Ice Shards slows down the enemy, I use that and then get in some hits with a Flawless. So hopefully that kills them and I don't have to deal about the monster's attacks. In addition, I put the Ice Shield in my backpack to make use of the Armadillo Pack mutation, so every time I roll, I will also use the shield in my backpack. I find a knockback shield, a legendary variant, which I replaced the ice shield with since the ice shield I found in the beginning of the game and it just wasn't powerful enough at this point of the game. I find the guaranteed curse chest in the morass, I take it and get another scroll staff. These curse chests are really good because they are a source of more scrolls as well as money. And you are also guaranteed a colorless item, which can make for some really interesting build choices. Since I'm cursed at this point, I'm just trying to find more enemies to kill. I go through the 2 boss cell door, which probably will be the food shop. And sure enough, there are more enemies in here. And down there are 2 very tough enemies which I take care of, but then I see a slasher coming in as well as another one. But luckily, the fire damage takes care of both of them without me even doing anything. One more enemy up there which I take care of, which then only leaves 2 enemies left to kill to lift the curse. There's the food shop, but obviously I don't need anything at this time, so I just leave it. And I could have rolled through the little gap there, but I wanted to pick off these 2 enemies because I thought they made for easy targets. While you're cursed, you can choose to pick off easier enemies since, you die in one hit anyways. You might as well get rid of the small fry to maximize your chance of survival. Here I fight the second tick monster. Again, just like last time, I move away since I think since it's slowed down, its attack patterns are a bit unpredictable. Makes one more jump and I kill it. Here I was trying to do some parries with the slasher, but as you can see, the mushroom boy just kind of interrupts everything and it's really unreliable as to when he will actually be helpful or not. And I could have sacrificed the mushroom boy in order to skip the mama tick fight, but I thought I might as well just do it. Here I find the Crusher, which is a very good item, which I replaced the Mushroom Boy with since it was just overstaying its welcome. And I upgrade the Flawless to an S tier here, as well as the Crusher to an S tier. And I even re-roll it once, and I was really thankful for this because one of the affixes that it rolled to was generating a toxic cloud around the trap. This is helpful because both my ice shards as well as Flawless both have the bonus to poison target affix. As you can see, I came to the morass because I intended to fight Mama Tick. The reason for this is because in the prison depths, I had already had the ice shards. And since the whole arena here is covered in water, I will always be able to do a critical hit with the ice shards. The Crusher kind of confused Mama Tick there, and since I don't use the Crusher very often, I didn't know how the attacks were going to be interrupted. Back then, I could have just kept attacking Mama Tick without worrying about anything. Here I'll take a hit because I thought Mama Tick was still stunned by Crusher, but it turns out the Crusher only has 3 charges before it's used up. And there, I don't know why, but I threw the Crusher into the middle of the arena, which does absolutely nothing. I do a parry with the Armadillo pack and Mama Tick is dead. I pick up a health flask for free as this is 2 boss cells and you are allowed 2 free health flasks, which I believe is more than generous. I move on forward to the graveyard because I think it's the most balanced biome out of Still Village and Slumbering Sanctuary. Here I just use the Armadillo pack to roll through the project from the Inquisitor's projectile so it won't be a problem later on. Drop down and kill all the enemies. I find the emergency door in this room, which is terrible. I don't know why it's in the game, but I down smash into some spikes. I thought I had landed, but apparently not, so that was unfortunate. You'll see me take a lot of hits here because at this point I thought I still had the shield in my main hand. So I tried to press triangle in order to bring it up, but as it turns out it was actually in my backpack and I just forgot, so I took a lot of damage there. Find another dual stat scroll, this time with survival, so that was very lucky. One other thing about curse chests is that you kind of have to watch out whether or not you've seen all the platforming puzzles in the biome, because it would be very unfortunate if I found the curse chest before I did the platforming puzzle, only to find out that I have to go through it in order to reach the end of the level. And you really don't want to go through the platforming puzzles while you're cursed, because even if you get hit by the traps or the spike balls, you will still die in one hit. Here I just pick off all the easy enemies such as the Inquisitor and the rats, get another scroll. And drop by Crusher to clear the slasher at the bottom. Drop down myself to kill the Masker, as well as the little rat there, and I just have 2 enemies remaining, which I see on top of the platform there, but I try to go through this door to see if there are easier enemies to pick off from, since dealing with a slasher while cursed sometimes may not be a good idea, but in this case it looks like I have to fight both of them. So I just go up, drop the fire grenade, and get the slasher with my flawless and ice shards. Move on forward to the cavern. Here I replace the knockback shield with the parry shield because it has a lot of really good affixes there. Poisons enemy with a parry, bonus to critical damage, as well as spreading inflammable oil, which is helpful for the ice shards, the flawless, and it's able to activate the critical damage on the ice shards. There's a ground shaker there, which I tried to run away from and drop the crusher to take care of without me even doing anything. Another ground shaker, and here I just used the armadillo pack to roll through the wall to deflect the projectiles by the arbiter. Drop another crusher to kill the ground shaker. Drop the crusher since the slammers are pretty annoying considering they have only one attack. However, this one attack cannot be parried. And with the arbiter, it drops a grenade when you kill it, which shoots out some projectiles, but luckily with the armadillo pack I can just roll through the barrel and it just turns into one of my friendly grenades. More slammers, which they can be slowed down, but I don't think it's very reliable. Another ground shaker. I tried to fight it directly this time, almost killed it, but luckily the fire damage was able to take care of it. Another arbiter, which I used the armadillo pack to roll its projectiles back, and that was a very last second thing. Luckily the roll activated and I was able to deflect the projectiles. Generally speaking, on a 2 boss cell run you want to be around 22 scrolls at the end of a run. Here I take some ice armor because I think it synergizes well with the flawless, since the ice armor is able to negate a single instance of damage, which is really good because with the flawless we don't want to get hit at all. Kill the ground shaker this time with my own weapons because it is stuck in water and the ice shards will always do critical damage if the target is in oil or water. Here I find a better ice armor to replace my current one with because this one spreads a toxic cloud when the effect ends. Remember that both my ice shards and flawless deals bonus damage to poison enemies. Get another scroll, almost to 20 but not quite there yet. And here I make a really interesting decision to take Giantkiller because I see some really nice affixes on this one. And since my plan for this run is to fight the giant and then skip High Peak Castle to fight Hand of the King, since I'll be fighting 2 bosses back to back, I can fully take advantage of Giantkiller's critical hit condition. So here is the build. You can see how both the ice shards and Giantkiller do bonus damage to poison enemies, which the crusher trap will make for us since it emits a toxic cloud when the trap is activated. And here I decide to upgrade the Giantkiller to an S tier. This may not have been the best choice on my part, but luckily I was able to get a spreading inflammable oil on the enemy affix, which has synergy with ice shards, since ice shards can inflict critical damage on any enemies with inflammable oil on them. Go on through to fight the giant. drop the Crusher as well as the Death Orb immediately, and I don't know how, but those projectiles just got deflected by the Armadillo pack. I take some damage there unfortunately, so I lost the no-hit. Just try to do as much damage as possible to the giant with my setup. And there I just threw the Crusher into the lava for some reason. I take some hits from the crystals. When this crystal attack comes out, I think it's best that you don't roll because you might roll into one of the crystals. The giant killer is doing a lot of work here. Again, the eyeball comes out and I thought I could finish the giant in this round of attacks, but turns out I have to wait one more time. And here we are, the giant is finished. So as I intended, I skip High Peak Castle and go straight to Hand of the King. In this room I take the remaining 2 scrolls, and which brings my scroll count to 21, which is around the amount suitable for a 2 boss cell run. So here is the final build that I will have. As you can see, the giant killer does 35,000 DPS, which is not bad at all for a 2 boss cell run. I have both inflammable oil synergy on the giant killer as well as the death orb, and the poisonous cloud that gets emitted from the crusher. I can activate bonus damage on the ice shards. With the triple attack, just dodge to the first, jump to the second, and dodge to the third. When the enemies come out, I decide to take a health flask since I was getting to 50% and I thought it was a bit low for my taste. When the giant ground slam attack comes out, just be patient and climb onto the ice platform when the Hand of the King is around at the apex of his jump. And finally, the Hand of the King is defeated and we end the run. So the main takeaway from this run is that we got a lot of synergies from our items, with the inflammable oil synergy as well as poisonous synergy. So this concludes my 2 boss cell series of runs with step-by-step explanations. I will probably make some new guides sometime in the future to explain the more fundamental basics of dead cells. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.